This is the fourth tutorial for the VEX mission Disk Mover. In this mission, we're going to take care of the problem that we have at the end of our code where it wants to drive into the wall. And that's because we're not looking out for the wall. All right, we're just telling it, regardless of whatever's over there, drive 800 millimeters to the right or to a heading of 90 degrees. And all of that problem exists right here in our code where we're just telling it to go. We're not asking it to look, okay? And when we want to look for something, we're looking for a condition, right? So in this case, what we really want to do is every time we get to the point where we're done with this string of repeated disk pickups, we want it to look to the right and see if there's room, okay? And that's a distance condition. And the way we're going to do that is with an if, then, else control. So let's go to controls. I'm going to hide this for the moment, and I'm going to bring out my if, then, else. So what am I looking for? Well, I know when I get to the end of that last string, and I'll make this a little bit bigger for you. When I get to the end of that last string, okay, I'm probably around 200 or so from the wall, 200 millimeters from the wall. All right, so I want to use an operator. Okay, and I want anytime I'm less than 100 from the wall, okay? Or let's say 300 from the wall. If I'm less than 300 from the wall, okay, then I want to stop driving, okay? And I need to use my distance sensing, right? So I'm going to grab my distance sensing, toss that in here. So if my distance is less than 300 millimeters, then what do I want to do? Well, I'm going to stop driving and I'm going to ultimately stop the entire project. Otherwise, what do I want to do? Well, I got all this I want to do. So I want to drive 800 and turn to a heading of 0. Now, it's important that I make sure I have my heading of 90 degrees set before we do this. All right. So I'm going to grab this statement and drop it in here right after. Okay. So let's go ahead and see how this looks. Let me zoom out a little bit. Give ourselves some room for everything we got going on here. So there's all of our code. We can expand this, show it. And let's reset it. So now it's going to go through. We know the repeat for the disk pickups is solid. Okay. We know that we can turn 90 degrees. So after we turn to 90 degrees, we're going to look. Am I less than 300 from anything? If I'm less than 300, so that's a block and a half. If I'm less than 300 from anything, then it's going to stop driving and stop the project. If I'm more than 300, right, or anything other than the true condition, then I'm going to drive forward 800 millimeters, turn to a heading of 0 degrees, and go back into the repeat. So let's give it a whirl and see what we get. Now remember, if we learned anything from the last mission, it's that it's only going to check this if statement once until we come back to it again with another repeat. So we're not doing forever repeats on this. Okay, so it checked it. It was more than 300, so it went to finishing up, driving forward, getting into the next heading, and picking up the next set of disks. So if you look at what we've done here, we've used the down I to set our drive forward, all right, until we see a color, any color. Okay, we've used distance to stop us from hitting the back wall when it comes time to drop off the discs. And now we're using distance again to keep us from driving into the sidewall. All right. So if it senses its distance is less than 300, then it knows there's not enough room for it to drive the 800 that it needs. So here we go. Okay. We're going to turn on 90 cents and it stops. The project ends at 1:37.5.